So what happened?
What happened? Cliffhanger. So yeah, you don't have much time. You can spend months trying to reach that point, and it's survival. You got to get down. So I took my pictures, got a snack, got some water, and started heading down. Gravity on my side, slowly. And, I don't know, 10, 15 feet in, everything just went completely white. And I went snowblind. So snow blindness is the sunburning of the cornea with the goggle malfunction, the lack of oxygen and ozone being in the death zone, blue eyes being more susceptible. As soon as the sun banked off the ice, fried my cornea. Typically takes about 24 hours to return, and I wouldn't regain mine for a month and a half. So clearly I didn't have that. But I remember in that moment just dropping down, grabbing the fixed line the rope I was attached to, and assessing the situation. Just going back into that military training. I remember thinking, I'm at the highest point in the world. I'm completely alone and I'm blind. No one's coming to get me. And without overthinking it, without panicking, I stood up and I started moving. Just slowly, trying so hard to use my eyes. I'm not normally blind. With snow blindness, it's bright white. So if you put a light bulb right in front of your face and you move your finger, you know something just moved, but there's no way you can focus, and just very painful. It's like breaking potato chips and put them in your eyelids. So definitely don't recommend it. But using my other senses, I could hear the 50-mile-an-hour gusts coming over. I would hunker down and it'd blow over me. I'd get up, take another step. Got to the top of Hillary Step, the 40-foot rock climb, reversed my gear and tried to rappel down, and like kind of slipped out, pendulum down, hit the rock, landed pretty hard on a ice shelf. I remember just laying there because I got spikes. I got some dangerous things on my body, and just kind of assessing, am I broken? I was like, no, I'm okay. And just kind of sitting there, right myself, and then start moving. And this entire time, I never felt alone. I felt this presence around me. It's like, we're here right now. You close your eyes. I don't say anything. You know I'm here. Like, I can't explain it. I never felt alone. I didn't overthink of it or think about too much about it. It's just like, I just never felt alone. That next section was at Cornice Traverse, the 2-mile drop on each side. And I could really hear like the clanking of my carabiners on the rope, and then the wind, 50-mile-an-hour gusts coming over, and I would just hunker down, and it took me forever to get across that traverse. But finally reached where it started going back up. So I had to climb up the south summit and got to the top of that. And that was a lot of work, just climbing. Like, at that point, I'm exhausted. Got to the top, and that's where I heard the pop, and my crampon had popped off. And I couldn't get down without that. So I went to look for it. I stepped with my crampon foot, gained purchase, stepped with my non-crampon. It slipped out, and I was head over heels. Just the scariest thing I've still ever experienced. Go to your roof, close your eyes, and jump off. It's so helpless. The rope shock loaded, like hard, and it would save my life. I would have went for over a mile. And I was upside down. My mask ripped out off my face, oxygen bottle coming out. And I remember my heart just racing, and it took so much to right myself. I was at such a down angle, and I just had to calm myself down. I was like going to give myself a heart attack. And I was able to finally do that. And there was just this bright thing above me. And I remember crawling up towards it, and it was my crampon. I was like, oh my gosh. So I torqued that down. I torqued my other one down, and decided I didn't want to go down the place I just fell, because it was getting a little more slushy up there. I side traverse over, and then a slab avalanche kicked off. So that's where there's a heavier ice or snow on top of lighter. So it's very common. My weight, and just later in the day, kicked it off. And I remember accelerating so fast, I grabbed the rope. It burned a line right through my glove. And I remember feeling that pain, but I stopped myself. But I'm hanging there, and my heart is just racing out of my chest, and I'm breathing so hard. I had to calm down. So I would just sit there and just breathe, and just, pressure breathe, and box breathe, do everything I could, every type of trick I knew. Ended up getting down to where Pasong had turned around and almost walked right past the oxygen bottle. And this is like this bright orange thing. I remember just laying down next to it, fumbling around with my regulator, knowing I was going to be out soon. And typically, if you run out of oxygen, even supplemental, you're not going to survive on Everest. It wouldn't work. And I just couldn't troubleshoot all day. I ended up putting the regulator back on my bottle, put that in. Still don't know why to this day, but it put that extra 15 pounds in my pack, grabbed the non-functioning one, continued moving. Got to the balcony, and again, just this presence still there, not thinking about it. I called out looking for Pasong. He wasn't there. I assumed he went down. He wasn't feeling well. But I remember also at this point feeling like happy. Like I just made it through some pretty technical spots. I'm like, I can do this. And got a snack, got some water, reversed my gear, started rappelling. It's like 20 pitches of rappel down like rock and ice and snow, and just trying not to trip over myself with my crampons. Probably about 20 feet into it, my mask just rips into my face, just sinks in, and ripped it off, and I ran out of oxygen. And at this point, I'd been climbing for about 33 hours from the day prior to this point, in the death zone, completely blind, and trying so hard to do it on my own. And I just reached a point where I couldn't. And I remember just dropping to my knees and just praying, just very simple, like, God, I can't do this. Please help. And around the world at that time, my wife, Joanna, was woken up. She just felt the need to wake, and I need to pray for Brian. My best friend, same thing. People I didn't even know, they reached out months later. They knew I was climbing. Like, I don't know what was happening at this time, but I needed to pray for you. As soon as I said that prayer, it's like someone just reached down and picked me up. I felt this energy come over me, and didn't overthink it. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And first thing I did is I tried the extra oxygen bottle that had previously failed, and I got a positive flow. And I remember just taking like 5 deep breaths, and I've never experienced anything like this. It was like fire entering my veins. It burned. It physically burned. But I just had this life, and cranked up the regulators, just started, again, not overthinking it, just started rappelling as fast as I can, which is super slow, but just, trying to get down, be deliberate. And the last quarter mile, it's this ice bulge, just bulletproof ice. I remember just looking out, seeing rocks. They look like people. It's these blurry objects. And I'd wave. Then I'd start getting closer. It'd be a rock, stupid rock. I'd like kick it. And then at one point I thought I died. I'm like, if this is heaven, this sucks. I remember thinking that. And then out of nowhere, Pasong, I never saw him coming, just hugs me. He's like, Brian, you alive? And he's like, I'm so sorry I leave you. And I'm just like, don't worry about it, dude. Super chill.
I was just blind. It's all good, man.
I mean, we both made the decision. So he helped me get back to the tent, and I laid down. He helped me get my crampons off. I threw my camera to him. He was looking at pictures of the top and everything. And I passed out. I was out for like 15 hours. Lost 20 pounds in that one summit push. Black eyes. My eyes were glued shut. I kept waking up and like ripping them open, and I guess taking like selfies. I have pictures that I didn't even know I was doing. Pretty disturbing. But yeah, I was there. I mean, I still had to get down the mountain. We still had to get down Lhotse Face, across the ladders, all that, and 38 miles out. Wouldn't regain my eyesight for a month and a half.
But imagine getting and hitting that tent. I mean, like that overwhelming feeling of like you're alive. You survive. What was that feeling? I mean, what I'm saying? Like you hit that. Like we've all kind of, that's a pretty extent, but you did it. Yeah. Like how did that feel? Did you feel like overwhelming sense of like emotion? Mm-hmm. That was just like, you went through all that. Like I said, it's powerful. You felt like someone was helping you along the way. and spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, and it's just like survive.
Yeah.
You came on the other side of it. Most people don't.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a lot on that of, survivor's guilt as well. But yeah, in that moment, yeah, I didn't stop crying. Like it finally came out in like the shakes and everything. In rescues, I mean, that happens. You suppress everything. You do what you have to do to save a life. In my case, I was doing everything I could to save my life until I couldn't. But I had suppressed so much. And yeah, as soon as I was there, I knew there was a lot to do, to get down, but at least I had Pasang, I had people, and I knew I had survived that. I didn't know what was ahead of me, but at that moment I was able to release and pass out. And I don't think I stopped crying I still haven't stopped crying.
No, well, like I said, I mentioned, I mean, it's life altering. It's huge. I mean, even just getting to Everest and doing it without any issue is life altering, let alone coming back from that. I mean, like I said, the avalanche, the going snowblind. I mean, like you're inches from death the whole time, falling, having to write like I can't imagine doing that, like 100 feet off the ground, at REI, let alone, like handling yourself on Everest, and so, we talked about faith before. I mean, did that, I would say that obviously helped. It felt, somebody's presence with you. I mean, you talk about this, your faith in God help you through, like we talked about how it's a good base for life. How did that help then in those moments, to rely on that?
Yeah, I don't think I was, and that was the problem. I think I had that presence around me the entire time, and he was just waiting. It's like, yeah, keep trying on your own, dummy. Like my whole life, whether I've witnessed miracles or not, I've never given credit. I've always taken the credit, and it was such a tangible experience, just such a cause and effect. And up there, the miracle is one thing, the power of prayer, the people that were woken up, people I didn't even know, that stuff was very, very heavy. Even my good friend, Kevin Houston, who was SEAL Team 6, who died in the Extortion 1-7, at that very moment, he was accepting Jesus in his life. Like he was further away and he was having some powerful moment. I had no idea. Like his wife, a year later, just told me, and I correlated those, like, oh my gosh, it's like, you wonder how all this stuff is all tied together, but it's very humbling for sure.
Mm-hmm. And now walking your way down 38 miles, is that like every step just being like, yes, like,
no,
what I mean?
Still
like
blind.
Still you're still blind, but
it sucked.
Yeah, it still sucks, but there's this like that everything's going to be okay kind of feeling still, or was there still a few spots where you're like, hey, this is like, you got to take it seriously and humble, but you are at that point, you're like, okay, like I got people with me, we got oxygen, we got food.
Yeah. So a lot of those things were there, but it was still this kind of impending doom still. It's when you're processing a near-death experience, it's a lot. Like I'd mentioned, like when I got back, Fox News and everyone's there. Everyone loves a survival story. They could care less about the survivor. And it's a lot. And when you're dealing with survivor's guilt, because there's 300 plus bodies on the mountain, dying for whatever reasons. Why am I here? Why am I alive? It's just one of those things. And over time, just being able to share my experience, and I see the impact, it's got to be part of it, but it doesn't make it any easier. So yeah, the whole time down, yes, there's people around me. Going across the ladders, crawling across the ladders is definitely probably funny looking, but nothing graceful, but it's all survival. And then just being able to talk to Joanna, because I got down to advanced base camp the next day, and I had a French Canadian climber dial her number on her sat phone, and I talked to her. She had already heard that I had summited just from the grapevine, and I was all emotional. I just said, "Hey, Joanna, I soloed the summit and I'm blind." And then the phone cut out and I couldn't get her back. So it's like I own the worst call in history to a spouse. You know, I couldn't even call her until the next day, till I got to base camp. And then we spoke for like an hour and just cried together and I told her everything. So